The countdown for Game 2 has begun, and we are back on King Sejong Station. And I really think that this is a map that's probably not the best, most comfortable spot to be in for TLO. I prefer this map much more so from the Protoss side of things. What's your analysis?
How come? I'm actually surprised you say that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really like the fact that the Zerg player has the two entrances that he has to deal with. If you do a more gateway-focused style in the opening, you can control where the Zerg is forced to defend, and the counter warp-ins can become pretty threatening. I like the third base that's nice and tucked away, but, of course...
I mean, I do agree, definitely, because the rush distance by ground is also quite long, so if you want to go up to 3 bases as a Protoss, you can do this relatively quick. With a couple of force fields, you keep that base safe, and if you defend one big Roach Hydra attack, if they go for that, well, after that, you're always in a good position, because, hey, you most likely survive if everything goes according to plan. Either way, TLO is not our ordinary Zerg. As we can see, he's, of course, the blue Zerg player, currently down 0-1 in this best of 3, spawning on the left top side of King Sejong Station.
And down on the opposing side. From Team Evil Geniuses, it's going to be Huck. You know, there's a very dangerous word that I don't know if I'm allowed to say, if it's a contraband word. It's the M word.
The M word.
Mutalisks.
What about it, Sean?
So, I mean, on this map, when you look at it, there's the exposed natural, there's the difficulty of bouncing back and forth between the two sides. What do you think about dealing with Mutalisks on this map as Protoss?
I think it is indeed a very good map. If Zerg players are rich and able to produce a lot of them, Mutalisks are pretty excellent. This is interesting already what is happening. Hawk decided to drop the Python on the low ground, followed it up with a Forge, which obviously tells us, like, hey, if he can cannon rush, he would love to cannon rush. But once more, TLO will open up with the spawning pool first. This is kind of something he does. Look at that cute drone move over here on the left side, just barely avoiding that probe that was heading into the main base. And now he will able to get that tree down. Yes, he does. Oh, that's really cute. Well done by TLO.
And we're seeing the usual chrono boosting of the probes, getting ready to warp in. It's going to be the 3-base play. You were talking about some of the big struggles of the 3-base play, the sort of Roach Hydra push. I mean, what do you think makes that push so strong on this map?
It depends a lot, because a lot of Protoss players like to open up with Stargate on this map, which means that Colossus and stuff is always a little later. And I think certain pushes can just be really hard to deal with, just because I personally find it scary. But this is not one of the best maps for it because of the long rush distance by ground. So in general, Protoss players, whenever they see they're playing against that, they're kind of happy if they're very good against it. Like, I'm never happy because, you know, I'm always scared if I'm on 3 bases, Sean. But I think that a player like Hawk is good enough to deal with it. And I've actually seen Hawk play some phenomenal. In my opinion, the best PvZ that I've seen of Hawk in the last year was on this map against Scarlet. It was absolutely a fantastic game in the Battlegrounds North America qualifier just 2-3 weeks ago. So I think he's confident. Hawk is also excellent in running around with a small hit squad, sniping creep tumors, which can be very annoying because this is such a large map to cover for a Zerg that you don't want to lose your creep tumors.
And I think that's a good point to bring up. I mean, as we're seeing the normal openings of the 3-base Zerg and the 2-base gas-heavy Protoss, you really just can't do a lot of the standard stuff as Protoss on this map. If you just try to build up your Death Ball army and move out...
Is this a thing, Sean?
You can do this?
Is this a thing? Is this actually scouted? A, is this a thing? B, yeah, TLO sees this. TLO is probably wondering, like, are you for real now? Are you actually going to warp in cannons over there? He's going to send a queen over immediately. There we do see one cannon being warped in. Now the probe is stuck. I don't think this is a thing. I think this is Huck just doing something.
Wait, okay.
No, this cannot work. There are Zerglings out on the map. There are 6 Zerglings. This can never work, Sean. This will never work. This is not a thing.
It was not a thing. We actually did our thing research. And
can confirm it's not a thing.
We mixed some chemicals together and they turned the wrong color. So the fact that they are now not a thing is going to be putting Huck a little bit on the back foot. But that's okay because we just said that standard stuff doesn't quite work. I mean, this backdoor entrance that Huck has at his natural expansion is almost explanation enough for why you can't just sit patiently, get one force, and move out with it across the map. You can get countered super easily. but the ninja style of Huck is going to be magnificent here.
Yeah, we do see the Stargate go down in the natural of Huck. TLO has an Overlord very close by. Has actually not seen it yet, though. He's close to seeing it. These Zerglings are going to work on this destructible debris, which can be a little frustrating, but one Stalker will already push these Zerglings back. And that's exactly what Huck is going to do. He was supply block for a bit as well, after losing that one pile on the left top side of the map. I guess it will be a single Oracle opening, or do you think he's going to go straight into Phoenix?
I think he might go straight into Void Ray after he gets the Oracle up. This is a map where I really do like, with the distances, how little Zerg can do about a Void Ray as a defensive tool.
We'll see. I never felt really that Huck likes the Void Ray very much. As we all know, he's the gateway guy. He loves to run around with units. He loves to spam units, warp in units. And Void Ray is just a very passive unit. You know, back in the old days, we had Flux Veins, and you could actually just snipe bases left and right. Those were beautiful days.
Wow, I forgot about that upgrade.
That was so
insane.
For the people who wonder what on earth are we talking about, just imagine Void Rays with the speed of an Oracle. It's pretty intimidating.
Wow, just one Oracle, insta expand. So bold. And I mean, over on TLO's side of things, we see that his lair
The Oracle is actually doing some work on the other side of the map. Of course, there were two queens trying to push it back, but in the end it was able to pick up 4 kills. So it's not all that bad, and most importantly, Huck keeps the Oracle alive. And you know, it's going to help defensively against Zerglings if TLO decided to make a crazy amount of Zerglings, but especially Revelation is going to be really useful, or perhaps even later Envision, because Huck is good in sniping creep tumors. I think it's really important. So if he doesn't have an observer or just lost an observer, then he can still use the Oracle as well for Envision, and it's really useful.
You know, is something going wrong on TLO's side of things? Because his lair is very late. Normally it would be done by 8:20, and it seems to be a full minute late. TLO's already gone all the way up to 68 drones and has a bunch of larvae. I mean, did he accidentally miss lair?
I don't think he did. Maybe by a few seconds, but I think it's most importantly he saw that he was playing against a Forge opening. He saw that like Huck even wasted some money in minerals and cannons. So I think this is just TLO's response of saying, I know that anything you can throw at me right now is just not going to be that scary. Other than a massive gateway attack, well, I'm just going to make a bunch of roaches then, and I should still be fine, as he did have access to the roach one. So I don't think it's all that bad. I actually think that TLO is pretty damn happy with the position that he's currently in, but I do really wonder where he wants to go from here. He has Aspire. This could be like a revival-ish playstyle or Hyun, as those guys love to run around with a lot of roaches, Zerglings, and then suddenly, bam, surprise, the M word.
Utilisks. Oh, what a naughty word. We're seeing Huck, I think, did a very, very cool move. Built the Oracle and then built no air. That's going to allow him to take this expand early. And, of course, we see TLO with all the usual staples of the defense. Now that the M word is a possibility, we're seeing all the Phoenixes get produced and the usual Roach aggression force as the precursor to the transition. Yeah,
this is really interesting. We're going to have 2-3 Roaches now, but that one defensive Void Ray would have been extremely useful now, or just any Void Ray that you mentioned earlier, because this is a lot of Roaches, and Roach Speed is about to kick in. Roach Speed will finish up. These Roaches, if they go for the Nexus, there's a chance they might get it. The Force Fields are going to have to be excellent for Hawk. There's not that much DPS in his army, and these Roaches are pretty tanky.
Really nice. He runs up. Force Fields, great. That's going to keep those Protoss units locked in. He's going to wait for the force fields to likely go away, pick off as many units as he can, and re-engage.
Are going to come as well. Graviton Beam being used. A lot of Zergling streaming, and TLO really wants to get this Nexus, but it seems like he's not going to get it. He's a little bit indecisive. Great unit positioning so far by Hawk, but is it going to be enough to save this Nexus? I don't think so.
It's going to be really close. Maybe if he gets some last-minute force fields, not going to happen. No chance. Huck loses the third base. TLO retreats and instantly goes into Swarm Host and Corruptor production.
Yeah, perhaps a tiny bit worried about the counter-attack, as he did lose a lot of units over there, and there is an Immortal in the mix now as well. These Zerglings are still getting a lot of surface area on these Stalkers though. This is definitely a very annoying position for Hawk to defend, as he's just kind of stuck between both bases and isn't sure where to force field.
Well, at this point, Huck is warping in desperately any unit that he can, and that is perfect news for TLO. Every gateway unit that Huck morphs in is a little bit of less money he has that he'd want to be Colossus. That's going to make the transition to Swarm Host so much stronger. All of a sudden, whereas you normally need to wait for a big double-digit number of Swarm Hosts, even 8 or 9 is a fairly threatening amount when reinforced by those Roaches.
Corruptors are going to push these Phoenixes back for now, and I completely agree. This time, the TLO finds himself in a really good position, but I've seen Huck make some remarkable comebacks. I definitely wouldn't say that it's over yet. He lost a few pros, but he's still currently sitting on 63, so that is definitely something he can work with. The only thing is that there is just not anything that he has access to that's going to be very good against Swarmos in the near future. So I feel that Huck from this point on is going to have to play a very defensive style. I do wonder how good is TLO with the Swarmos. It's just not his type of unit. TLO loves to do crazy stuff. Even like now he makes Swarmos, he just immediately runs across the map. That is not what most Zerg players do, but I don't mind it. Like, I definitely think this is a correct decision.
Absolutely. I mean, even though it's only 6 Swarm hosts, look at the force fields. Those are to try to keep the army out. That is not going to trap anything on the other side. That is the most defensive force fields you'll ever see a Protoss throw out. Huck trying to maybe swing around to the left side. He's using these swarm hosts as a tool to begin doing max roach aggression. Look at the production tab. 192 of 192. The pirate TLO is going to hold his R.
These sentries getting picked up as well. +2 will finish up for Huck. He's going to try to backstab these Swarmos, and he may succeed in doing so, but there's just not that much DPS. He's not going to be able to kill all of them like immediately. Actually, if he uses the Phoenixes, he might will, but there are still roaches dancing in his natural, also attacking this additional base. And from this point on, you know, TLO is completely okay with losing all these units as long as he takes a lot of units with him to the grave, and preferably a lot of probes as well.
Yeah, TLO's just going to head straight into the main, and the mini-map tells the story. A stream of blue continues to head down. The deeper he goes into
the
Huck's
Robo
base,
bait.
I mean, there's no wrong decision you can make as TLO now. He's going to have way too much economy. There's no hope unit that Huck can get, no Colossus that will maybe get the perfect shots. It's going to be all basic gateway units. TLO target fires the Nexus again.
And he's still working in the other base as well. Look at TLO, he's sniping Nexi left and right. Now Huck using the recall,
man.
He's going to try to save it, but he's not going to
That's
save
not even
it.
Fair.
That's pretty sick. TLO just killed 3 Nexus in roughly 35 seconds with a bunch of roaches.
Income currently 0 and 0 for Huck. A little lower than you'd want at this stage in the game.
If only Protoss had Swarmos, he would have been okay, man.
If only Protoss had swarm hosts and mules, I feel like all Protosses would finally be happy.
It's like, we can crawl back into this game. Now Huck's going to try to run to the other side of the map. TLO knows that that's pretty much Huck's only decision, so he's getting some static defenses as well. He's still sitting at 170 supply. Army supply, it might actually be relatively close now. TLO is just ahead in everything. Time warps will go down, and some defensive time warps. Actually, one was a Guardian Shield. I was already like, man, that is a big time warp.
GG.
Yeah. Great play by TLO, really fun. And it's really cool to see that even when TLO uses a unit like the Swarmos, he's still using it in a very TLO-ish way. Just be aggressive with it, run across the map, and just pretend that Swarmos is the thing you have to worry about. Well, actually, those roaches did way more than the Swarmos ever did.
Yeah, I mean, the swarm hosts, so often it's the thing that you just want to wait until you can begin making them, and then you only make them. But TLO just building a few and seeing the way that Huck reacted and responding with all roaches, and then, oh, killed off the Robo, well, let me get a few more swarm hosts again. Very light usage of that unit. When we come back after this short break, the real question is, will that swarm host style work on one of the smaller maps we have, Overgrowth? When we come back, Game 3 of Huck vs. TLO.